to the Quiet Warrior Show, where we help top leaders find their pathway to incredible success and a lifetime of happiness. Here is your host, Tom Dutta, the Quiet Warrior.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Quiet Warrior Show. My name is Tom Dutta, like Butta. We're here live streaming. This is our second time on the air today. You might have seen us before. And live meaning you can chat with us in the chat box there. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, and our latest partner, Rumble, which is just rocking across North America. Now, what's live streaming? You're peeking in the studio watching us. I'm over here in British Columbia, Canada, and he, my guest, which you'll know who he is in a minute, is far away over there on the other side of North America somewhere. And so the magic of this technology is incredible. We're going to go about an hour today. We're going to be storytelling. But first, I want to do what I call the hook. And the hook is to get you excited about the show and the guest. And maybe you'll stay a while. So stand by, everybody, while I set this up. What if the very thing that made you feel like you didn't belong anywhere is exactly what the world needs to hear? My next guest discovered his truth through 3 nomadic journeys, 2 decades of coaching leaders, and one profound realization. Your outsider experience isn't your limitation, it's your superpower. His name is Salvatore Manzi. Growing up gay in conservative Kansas, where being yourself wasn't just discouraged, it was dangerous. But here's what's fascinating about Salvatore's story. Instead of learning to hide, he learned to help others find their voice. Instead of shrinking to fit in, he chose to wander the world 3 times. Most people who feel like outsiders spend their lives trying to belong. Salvatore chose a different path. He chose authenticity over acceptance, movement over roots, truth over comfort. And that choice changed everything. 20 years coaching executives, stages at the United Nations, fundraising efforts exceeding $100 million, helping build unicorn companies. His new book, Clear and Compelling, reveals the frameworks that transform how leaders communicate. But his story reveals something deeper, how the people who've never quite fit in often have the most authentic voices. The you then them principle that changes everything about human connection. Why embracing awkwardness becomes your path to growth. How the tension between wanting roots and remaining untethered creates the strongest leaders. But here's what really captivates me about Salvatore's journey. He teaches presence through movement. He finds belonging by never quite settling. He helps others command rooms by first mastering the art of being authentically himself. What does it mean to find your voice when the world has told you it doesn't want to hear it? How do you turn a lifetime of not fitting in into the very thing that makes you unforgettable? And what happens when you realize that your struggles aren't obstacles to overcome, they're strengths to unleash? Well, today we're exploring these questions with someone who's lived them. Salvatore Manzi joins me to share his journey. He's in Kansas, and he's a global voice. From hiding truth to helping others speak theirs, and from seeking belonging to creating it wherever he goes. Let's discover how your voice becomes your power. My name's Tom Dutta. This is the Quiet Warrior Show. Welcome, Salvatore Manzi.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's really an honor to be here. Wow, what an introduction.
Well, I was going to ask you, how is it like to sit back and listen to you being you?
You make me sound so much better. Like I need to wake up with that sort of like, hey, this is going to be my alarm clock from now on. Like, get up and go.
I need to bring you the script and let you enjoy that. I'll send it to you. Hey, Salvatore, are you ready to go into Plato's Garden and have some fun?
Let's go.
All right, we're going to set this up here, everybody, so stand by. What would it be like to go into Plato's Garden with Salvatore? Well, you see it on screen there, and just to help you out, Salvatore, Plato was an Athenian philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece, founder of the Platonist school of thought and the Academy, which was apparently the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. And you can kind of see him and Aristotle there. Apparently they did this thing called walking and talking. What we're going to do that's unique today is we're going to tell stories, but weave it through three areas that are the influences of context, meaning our audience, if you talk through these three areas, may get a deeper understanding, connecting it all together about who you are. So the first one is macro. What was happening in the world around Salvatore, you, that may have influenced your public works? And we can go back as early as you can remember. Two is mezzo. What was happening in your industry or the sector where you do your public work? And the last one, my favorite, what was happening in your personal life that may have influenced your public works? So now I'm going to kind of lead you into the first question we're going to riff on. You spent 2 decades helping leaders find their voice, yet your own journey began in a place where your authentic voice wasn't welcome. Let's start with this transformation. How does someone who grew up not fitting in Kansas, conservative Kansas, become the coach who helps others command the room? And this theme I'll start with in micro is called the Kansas Outsider. Growing up gay in conservative Kansas, what was that early experience of not fitting in like? And when did you first realize your voice mattered, even when others didn't want to hear it?
Yeah, it's a huge question. And to just hit it on the nose, I would say performative. I learned how to be performative as a child because I was constantly masking who I really was to attempt to give off the appearance of normalcy, or not. I mean, to give off the appearance of fitting in to the group. Yeah. So I was constantly not being authentic, even when I was trying to authentically present an idea or be in front of, constantly afraid of being seen. And it took a long time for me to start letting myself see myself, accept myself, and not worry as much about how much they're thinking about me so that I could actually express myself.
Yeah, wow. I mean, when you're talking, it's like you're reliving that. So this feeling, just touch on it to help me, the timeline. So how early are we talking about in your life when you started experiencing that sense of feeling about yourself?
Well, I knew I was different when I was 14. That was when I had a very clear sense that I did not fit in with the rest of the kids the way they work. And, it was not just being gay, it was also being more introverted and being in a very extroverted family and having a father who does public speaking and wanting to project that image because this is what the world likes, kind of a thing. So it started when I was 14. It really peaked when I was in college and I decided to get on stages, follow my father's footsteps. And first time I got on a stage, my voice betrayed me. It went so high pitched that I lost it. And it was funny because I wasn't as embarrassed by the acting. I was confused. How does my body go a different direction than where I wanted to go?
That's crazy. By the way, this is live, so everybody sees all the bloopers. We're gonna edit this part out, but I'm just gonna grab a towel here. It's about 90 degrees in my studio. We were just talking about it. So I have high-powered cameras, and people might notice I'm sweating a bit. So hold on a sec.
Yeah, well, just so you know, we don't notice it. You look fantastic. Yeah, you look fantastic.
Everyone, I have to honor Salvatore. You're such a kind man. We've never met, obviously. I've read your book, and we'll get into that. But something happened about a week or so ago. As you know, we've had forest fire issues here in British Columbia, Canada. And we had some issues with the studio, and I had to cancel and move it. And I got to be telling you this, that your emails to me were comforting and made me feel better when it was my intention to actually apologize to you, make you feel better. So this is what empathy looks like, and you teach communication. I know you do it well, and what we just heard you do, this is a teaching moment on the show. Here I was struggling, and you made me feel very, very comfortable, and in front of my audience. That's a gift. So let's just talk about something you said, riffing on it. So congratulations, by the way, your dad's 80. You mentioned that to me offline.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're at his place right now. Tell me about who influenced you the most, mom or dad. And also you said dad was a public speaker. Just a little bit about what was that?
My dad was definitely the biggest influence in my life, still is, not just as a man, a leader, an inspiring, creative person, a caring, compassionate man. My mom did influence me a great deal too. She was definitely the life of the party. She always brought a lot of fun. Everything, she pulled out the facilitator in me. So I do both coaching and facilitation. So if I'm coaching, I'm kind of drawing in my dad's energy, and if I'm facilitating, I'm drawing in my mom's energy to lead the organization. Those were the two biggest.
That's fascinating to me. And they've both born in Italy, or
Oh no. Hey, my mom was born in Kansas. My dad was born in New Jersey, but my grandparents came over from Italy. So my dad's first generation moved to Kansas to go to Emporia State, go to college, met my mom, got married, settled down there. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting to me because I come from mixed, and we were talking before we came on, for the audience's sake, my wife's from Italy. I born in the UK, but to Fijian Indian parents. And I think there's a big thing here we'll get into more about communication. When you're an immigrant and you come into another society and fitting in, being comfortable with another person, and your understanding of yourself, how you do communicate, all the fears, the word introvert, there's so much there. Let me get into this next theme. We're still in micro here with Salvatore, the finding belonging in unexpected places. So you mentioned finding your sense of belonging in gay communities, but later discovering the value of friendships with straight men. How did that teach you that authenticity isn't about finding one tribe, but about being yourself everywhere?
If I could, I want to start by unpacking just a little bit.
Please.
I did find my community in the gay community. At one point, I moved to Miami Beach and found out that I wasn't the only gay person on the planet. Oh, wow. And there's lots of them. And there's this whole thriving community. And I'm never going out to the straight community again. And, it was a lot of fun. And then at one point in my life, I started integrating with straight men's leadership. Well, men and a men's leadership, and the majority of them being straight. And it was like so eye-opening, like all of these preconceived notions I had about straight men. And it's like, oh, wow, you're just like, you're struggling with all of this too. I mean, you're kind of causing a lot of the problem, but you're struggling with having to do it. So that was sort of the community. But if I could, I would offer, when I went to college, in Kansas, University of Kansas, go Jayhawks, I went to the International Hall, and it was the first time in my life I was exposed to this wide array of cultures, people from all over the world. I think there were 67 countries represented. And I no longer felt like my sense of not belonging was the norm in that hall. And so I started relating and understanding, and I became addicted to understanding other cultures and to connecting with other people, finding out how do they manage and negotiate when they don't feel like they belong. And that sort of sent me off onto, as you said, 3 different nomadic adventures as well.
Wow. And do you have brothers and sisters, or is it just you from?
No, I have an older brother. And he's a card. He's pretty funny, and he has 3 kids. I don't want to call them all out, but they are near and dear. I am so. Uncle Day is coming up. Actually, I think it's
Uncle Day. That's cool.
Yeah. Uncle Day is coming up. I love being the fun uncle. Yeah.
So you I like that term you had, Funkle. You look like somebody who would be fun. You could be my uncle, man, because I'm a very serious guy. My wife's like you, bubbly, outgoing, fun. And at what point did you with your being who you are, did that be shared with your family, or did that conversation start? What was the first point in their life for that?
When I first became cognizant of it, I brought it to my parents. And
how old were you?
14.
Okay.
And I don't want to relive that moment, but they offered to send me, and they sent me to a therapist. It wasn't quite conversion therapy, but it was definitely like, we're going to fix this problem. And I realized just from how everybody was reacting around the topic, I was like, oh, you're right. It's just a phase. Never mind. I'm glad I did this. Check the box. Don't worry. And then went back in the closet until I got to college. And that's when I started coming out more generally. There's still people in my family that have a little bit of friction around accepting it, right?
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. And as I listen to your story, I can't even put myself in your shoes, man. There's so many parallels, but not my parallels in one way is that as I grew up in a time and age here that I didn't fit in because of the color of my skin. So words like Hindu and raghead and being ostracized in a primarily European white school, and fat shame because I had a little bit of heaviness. And what I learned about the power of that, and how awesome your story is about how you teach people for resilience, is later in life, I started discovering through my own development, especially through dealing with, I had some forms of PTSD with thought patterns. But a lot of people I meet where words matter, and in your adulthood, certain unconscious beliefs, thoughts, they impact how you think about yourself. And so I really admire you in terms of how from age 14, you've come out and we'll hear now in more depth what you do to actually help the world. So let's get into.
Can I touch on
do.
that for just 1 second? There's something you said, like there is a big difference. I am white, I am male, I'm 6 foot. Like I have a lot of like standard, like what people would call privilege. And I had the option of blending in. Nobody knew. You did not have that same ability.
Yeah.
And so some ways the whole coming out of the closet is this like, I mean, I honestly thought when I was hit mid-20s, I'm like, do I have to do this for the rest of my life? Like, do I have to just keep announcing this? like but I mean, it is not, it gives me the privilege of not having to take other people's like unwanted biases full frontal in my face all the time. I have to put myself out there in order to do it, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. It resonates so deeply what you said. I appreciate that because it does honor my identity. I just finished my dissertation for a doctorate, and I'm waiting to be examined on it. It's been a hell of a 2 years. Thank you. And one of my doctorate title is The Quiet Revelation, Uncovering Identity in a Complex World. And so I spent a lot of time digging into my ancestry, my identity. But one of the things I discovered is that we need each other. So I know you know this, but I want to tell you this to feel the love between us, that the more I know about you, the more I learn about myself. Something happens in the space between us, not on our own. What you're telling me, for example, what you just said about me and what you saw in my story, it embodies, it comes into here. Then I take it and I turn it into knowledge and I put it back in the world, and maybe I can make the world and myself better. So I want to say thank you for that. Now let's get into this theme now, the third nomadic journey, and then we'll talk about the book a bit. So this is your third time, and many people don't even know what that means, so you can riff on it. But this is your third time choosing the nomadic path. What keeps calling you back to movement over roots, and how does that restlessness connect to your early experience of not quite belonging anywhere?
I want to unpack this for hours. And I think what I would start with is when I realized how big the world is after getting into that international hall, I just wanted to see, experience. I wanted to feel it all. And I didn't want to just go visit. I wanted to go live it. I wanted to immerse myself in it. I feel like in many ways, my life has been a deconstruction of the things I was taught to believe as a child. You got to get married. You got to get a full-time career, a corporate job.
I'm putting up my hands.
You know, and I was just like, nope. And that's why I'm on my third stint as a nomad. The second one ended because of COVID, though. It doesn't count. My first one was for 7 years. I moved to New Zealand, and it's the furthest place from Kansas. And I was like, okay, let's get as far.
Okay, now you got me going and excited. Like, did you actually just pack a backpack and take a flight, or like where did you know anybody? Really?
I met these guys. I had gone on this train ride from Kansas to Vancouver and then down to San Francisco. Met these two backpackers in Vancouver from New Zealand, and they're like, "Hey, if you ever come down," and I'm like, "What's your address?" All right, and as soon as I graduated, I just took a backpack and a suitcase. I later lost the suitcase and lived in New Zealand for 6 months, and then continued traveling around the world. That was my first time around.
Hey, just on that visually, what's your first experience that you love there visually? Something you saw, whatever.
Well, my first experience, of course, was like, whoa, they drive on the other side of the road. And it is not something that, like, after 21 years of seeing something one way, to see it the opposite, it is a mind flip. Like, I kept going to the wrong side of the car. If I turned left, everybody in the car would scream. I'm like, I know, which side is, I don't know. But visually, the Bay, Auckland it is gorgeous. If you haven't been to Auckland, it is so worth a visit. Like the bay, it's very similar to San Francisco, hills and
Wow.
going down
Yeah.
to the bay, and it's
Yep.
just it's gorgeous.
I know Lord of the Rings was filmed there, and I've seen a lot of that. But I stepped on you a bit there. But go back into the story. So you meet a couple guys, but you just go.
Just went.
What happened?
I mean, and let's also talk about growing up in a sort of a naivety and a set of privilege. Like I just assumed it's all going to work out, and I kind of approached life with this: it's going to work out. So I just moved to New Zealand, and I'm like, I'm going to find a job, and I did. And
were you working here, and you just gave that up, or were you?
I graduated from college, and 2 weeks later, I went to New Zealand. Which another fun story. Their winter is opposite from ours. Like, didn't do the math. So I went from winter to winter and then back to winter. Like, no, like I was like, I'm done with winter. That's why I moved to Miami Beach.
Always do the research.
Yeah, right. Well, just do the math. Like, okay, I was a naive boy from Kansas moving across the world and
hey man, I've been in Miami Beach area, and you cannot find that in New Zealand. I'm just, that, but you're privileged to have Miami Beach for sure.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was a good day.
So this nomadic journey.
Yeah, just kept like as I kept adventuring and finding new places, I just was not satiated. It was sort of like an itch that you can't stop scratching. So I kept journeying, but I had promised my father by the time I turned 30, I'm going to get a corporate job and settle down. And so I did. I settled down. I spent 4 years in the corporate world. And then as soon as I was out of debt, because I had to buy a car and get a lease and did it, like all these.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I paid it all off, I was like, bye. And I went to Italy and I started my next round.
Really? Where in Italy, by the way, did you go?
I lived in Milan.
Yeah.
I taught English as a second language, and it's, you can't go wrong in Italy, honestly. What I didn't realize, I mean, Salvatore Manzi, people were like, they come up to me and expect, but then they would look at my clothes and be like, this is something incongruent here. Like, you look Italian, but you're not dressing the part. That's last year's season. You got to wear it this year's season,
Okay, what's your favorite food there?
Food? Gnocchi. I mean, there's no question about it. Gnocchi con pesto. I mean,
you know what? Just
day.
Everybody, just come back and listen to this. Just the way you say it makes me hungry.
Tom, you have no idea. I was at this restaurant and the gnocchi was so good. I got another plate and they brought me a plate. And then I was like, I need another plate. And they all got in a fight because they didn't want to give me a third plate. And I'm like, no, give me my gnocchi. And so they brought me this itty bitty portion. And I'm like, that's it. I'm leaving.
I've got to say this about the whole nomadic thing. I'm getting excited hearing this story, but not a lot of people do that, get up and actually do what they want to do, experience the world. But I call it a worldview. Yeah. That the knowledge that goes into your head when you're doing something like that. And I was telling you that Stanley Tucci came to mind. He's an actor, and he did a series of shows on Italy, and went deep into Italy that I had never experienced before. And my wife and I did a cruise. It's the only time I've been there, and we went off, and then we did Sicily, and we did Rome, and we did a few places. Just a fantastic experience. So that what kept calling you back. So you did New Zealand. Some might say he's just a nomad. He's lost. He's wandering, but something must have been happening to you. Transformation. Now you're in Italy. Keep us going from there.
There was a big transformation for me, and that happened in Paris. I got locked out of my youth hostel, and so I was required to spend the entire evening walking around Paris at night. So I went to the Ile Saint-Louis. It's a little island in the middle of the Seine, and it's where Catherine Deneuve lives and stuff. And so I was walking around that island from like midnight until 3 a.m. And at one point I stopped and I saw the Notre Dame, the full moon reflected on the River Seine, and it just hit me. Everything in life is a reflection. It's not, I'm keep changing locations, hoping I'm going to find nirvana, hoping to find the place that I fit in. No, I need to change what's inside before the reflection is going to change. And that was a pivotal moment where I started diving into like personal development, professional development, understanding who I am, accepting the parts of me that I denied or wanted to pretend to exist.
Wow. Reminds me of the Wizard of Oz a little bit, that story.
Oh, no. Really? I'm from Kansas. You're going to bring in the Wizard of Oz? Can I never get away from this song? I mean, seriously.
Tom,
let me tell you something real quick. Do you know what the Italian nickname for Salvatore is?
No, tell me.
Total.
No kidding.
It is. So I'm
Okay, you
total.
see, there's something going on here because my brain was ahead of you. That
Yeah.
is too. That in itself is just a magic moment. So we're back in Plato's Garden here, everybody, with Salvatore. So much fun talking. We're going to segue into Mezzo, the sector where you work, because you just opened it up about, personal self-development. But I want to bring in a right turn here, and it's this document that I was privileged to get your protected PDF of your book. You can tell us about it, but you have a book coming out. I want to throw something out to you after going through it and reading it, and I can't wait to see it. I've also written a review ahead of time for it, so we're going to surprise you.
Thank you.
I have fun coming up with, okay, this guy wrote, here's the book. What's the core philosophy of the book? So I'm going to throw out what I think, challenge it, change it, tear it up. Yeah, Tom, add to it. Okay, so here we go. Salvatore Manzi's book is a masterclass in practical communication psychology, structured around three foundational pillars that transform how leaders connect, influence, and inspire. Here's the core philosophy in my words. Communication isn't about perfection. It's about structured authenticity. Manzi argues that the most effective leaders don't wing it. They use proven frameworks while remaining genuinely themselves. The book's genius lies in making complex communication theory accessible through simple, repeatable frameworks. Go.
I'm touched. I love it.
I'm your co-author. I'm your newest co-author.
I'm loving your words. They're music in my ears. Yeah, there's something about structured authenticity that really captured my attention there, because it is sort of that way. When a person is learning how to lift weights, they have a trainer that teaches them, no, move the arm this way, hold the shoulder back, now do it, right? There's a structure to communication. Once you learn that structure, you can learn to be yourself in it. You can learn to express yourself in it. You can learn to make the tool yours. Having a framework gives a foundation to build off of, to make it your own. And that's why it's a framework and not like something really hard and structured. It's a framework. You can move it around and make it yourself. So with the structure comes the freedom to be authentically yourself. I love your description.
Very, very cool. We'll get you at the end to tell us when you think that might be published.
Next month.
Oh, good. So, I'm going to get a signed copy, hint, and we're going to put that in the studio. I actually have a big bank of books that are signed by all authors who sent them, and yours will stay there perpetually. So a little bit of free plug for you. Let's go back into Plato's Garden here. I have another question I'm going to throw out to riff on. Now we're into Mezzo, the sector, and I call this theme From Hiding to Leading. So many of your clients are introverted leaders, in my understanding, who have brilliant ideas but struggle to speak up powerfully. How do you help someone move from feeling like they don't belong in the room to owning the room? We're talking about leaders now. This
is a critical question, and there's no doubt people out here that are going to hear this and be like, oh, some element of that really resonates, because and I work with data-driven leaders, people that are more comfortable analyzing, more comfortable with numbers, more comfortable with engineering, science, those kind of things. When they have to then translate all of that amazing brilliance into concepts and terms that the non-data-driven people can understand, there is a little bit of code switching. There's a confusion. And people on this side tend to be a little bit more introverted if they're not actually introverted, because they're quiet. They're quiet leaders. They're more thoughtful, those kind of things. So making that pivot to start sharing that brilliance takes a little bit of courage and frameworks or techniques and strategies to help you do that. And many of those quiet leaders, it's oftentimes just learning how to get your voice in the first 5 minutes. Yeah. Break the seal, jump into that meeting within the first 5 minutes, contribute something so that your voice and you are feeling present in there. There's art to interrupting people, but I think the other thing that a lot of quiet leaders don't always get the first time is that non-data-driven people are not going to be easily convinced by the data. They need the story.
Wow.
Data to data, man. Just give me 0 and 1s. I got it.
Yeah.
We're talking, I don't know if you've seen the AI where AI called AI and they had the two talking to each other and they switched to a whole different language so that they could hear each other. That it makes sense. Data to data.
Sure.
When data goes to marketing, to sales, to the executive team, they have to switch. And learning how to make that switch, one thing I offer is metaphors move minds.
Yeah.
As a data-driven leader, learn how to use metaphors to explain these complex concepts, even become branded with your own form of metaphor so that you
Yeah.
become known and you can easily explain it.
That's very awesome. I'm going to talk about neuroscience in a minute because you unlocked that in me. But I'm going to full screen you, so we'll edit this little setup out. And because I got to do another mop up, it's just the heat. I got my little towel here. But I'm gonna just ask you something and ask you to talk about it. So we'll set this up by me giving you the background. When I looked at the book, I wrote down that there's three pillars framework: content, delivery, presence, and revolutionary principles. And one of them was you, then me. So start when I full screen you, just talk about why you wrote the book, and then you, then me. So 3, 2, 1. We're going to full screen you now, and I'll be quiet. I'll come back on in a minute.
So my book, Clear and Compelling, is a guide for data-driven analytical leaders who are trying to make complex terms more clear for non-data-driven people. And you, then me is the number one principle. The number one principle is based on the idea that if I can start any engagement, whether it's a conversation, a presentation, or I'm just making a point in a meeting, if I can start that engagement by speaking about the other person's perspective, their world, their hopes, their fears, their what's going on related to the topic, what happens is it opens a door and we start to have less defensiveness. They're more receptive. And then I can switch to my agenda or my thoughts. So you, then me is simply talking about the other person before I get to my point. It creates connection, builds rapport, and allows my point to actually go into to be received and then further discussed.
Very helpful to hear to the audience. Again, the book is coming out soon, so this framework's in it. I want to riff on this because you give me so much. Brain's going on journeys here. The first thing is about metaphors. In my studio here, let me just put a camera so you can see the backdrop. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a replica I'm pointing to it of a brain there.
Okay, yes.
It's actually, if I brought it out, I call it Mr. Brain. When I travel and speak, I take him with me, or her, in replica, and it comes apart. But you might know I had a concussion. I fell on my head, had a serious brain injury, and it took 5 years, learned all about this neuroplasticity stuff, but didn't realize, and it's what I think I'm saying this the way you said it, but with the science piece, that in leadership, it's about building trust. It's about getting the brain, what I've learned, to release the chemicals like oxytocin that builds love and connection. And it's about others being heard. And it's about getting people into the side of the brain that's not logical, but has emotions. And when there's emotion, the brain bypasses all that unconscious bias. So really the pathway to getting people to listen to you and maybe follow you. And I think I just want to give you that little bow tie on what you said. I think what you just taught me is, if in conversation it's you, then me. So you want to hear what I have to say. You want me to be heard. You truly are leaning in and hearing who I am. And that's really important to me. And from my experience as a CEO from the corporate world before I started doing this independent work, that we don't do that very well as leaders. We are puffing on our chest. We're talking and we're telling people and we're talking over and we're getting our message away, and then we're leaving the room or the conversation. So did I get that right?
You got it 100% right. You know, a lot of people tell me, well, if I could unpack one thing that you said, and then I'll do that.
Please.
First, emotion precedes cognition. We get a feeling, and then our brain makes up a story about it. So if I'm trying to communicate with somebody, they're getting emotional reactions to what I'm saying, and their brain is interpreting it and making up a story. So if I can connect with them on an emotional level before I give them a data dump, they're more likely to be open to and understand the data that I want to share. So I really like the goal that you said in there. But a lot of people come to me and they're like, Salvatore, can you teach empathy? And I'm like, yes. You then me, if you follow that principle, can become a tool to learn empathy. You are not allowed to say your point until you offer a reflection, acknowledgement, validation, or speak to the other person's perspective. Then you can make your point. It becomes a muscle.
Yeah.
And I worked for a company, I won't say which, but they kind of used me as a secret weapon to go into sort of the overly alpha male kind of executive's office
Sure.
to help them learn empathy. And I would just do this. Like, no, you can't respond until you reflect on what I just said.
Yes.
And they would build this, and they would come back to me weeks later and be like, my marriage is like so much better now. What did you do to me?
Imagine that. Imagine listening. We're just going to I got to find an Italian soundtrack of somebody clapping and saying something in applause. But I think that's for empathy. It's one word, the power of it. And the truth is, and you told us that from your experience, but I've seen it, that not everybody knows how to do it. And studying neuroscience, I did find some research that if you're not empathic, it's very hard, but you can learn it. So I think of it this way, which I think I get it, that I had a boss once and he was just a jerk. Like, he would literally sit in the boardroom. I was his general manager and he was the founder. So that was one of my contracts I had for a couple of years. And he would just be in your direct, and things are going well. And he'd bat somebody over the head just with a very blunt, rude, stupid comment, like totally breaking any trust in the room. And I'm getting to know him. He just couldn't be empathic. So in my own way, I tried to coach him. I said, okay, remember that moment in the room when Salvatore was talking and you interrupted him and you said to him something that made him feel stupid, and you kind of saw the look on his face. Remember that. And then what I want you to do is develop a rule. When you see that happening, you do this. When you see that happening, you do this. So teaching patterns for people who aren't empathic, that's what I'm trying to say, that I believe. And you can tell me in your framework. Teaching patterns is easy for people to learn if you practice it, and the neural infrastructure or the neuronal pathways of the brain can actually develop new pathways if you're not empathic. Does that make sense?
100%. And to that point, people ask me, what's the value of coaching? It's harder to see my own patterns. Somebody else can observe me and pick them up, because I've got shadows that are in operation that I can't see. But if someone is watching a tape of me, somebody's going to watch this video and they're going to see patterns that I don't see. I'll notice them maybe when I watch them. But that's the value of having a coach. Points out the patterns and offers a change. And I like what you said. You've got a trigger, and now you have an opportunity for a different response. And that's really what presence is.
Interesting.
Presence, that idea, is when you are in control of the space between the stimulus and the response, when you can make different choices. That's presence.
That's powerful. And so it's interesting because I have leaders come into my studio like yourself, but let's just say I bring in an executive, right? And they're known to not be able to behave that well with other people. They're a little toxic. But I have them in the studio for an hour and they're completely different.
Oh, right.
And afterwards I have some of them will say that man, I've never been able to listen to and do what we did. And what you said is what I have observed in my podcast. I go back and watch the tapes, and it's using some of your framework. It's using that empathy. It's listening. It's leaning in. It's letting them be seen and heard. Sharing sequentially with them stories that maybe they can then unlock something about themselves. Such great stuff. Everybody, we're here with Salvatore Manzi, the author of the new book, Clear and Compelling Communication Strategies for Big Thinkers with Bold Ideas. I've read it. We'll be surprising him with a review soon, and it's going to drop soon. Let's get back into Plato's Garden. Are you ready to keep going?
Let's do it.
All right. We're in Mezzo, the sector that has influenced your public work. I call this theme the UN stage to unicorn boardrooms. This part of your bio was kind of fun because it had me really think like, wow, what is all that stuff? Especially now that I've heard about the journeys you've done and go like, you did this. So you've coached leaders presenting at the United Nations. And by the way, who taught you how to public speak? I'm always interested in things. And helped guide 100 million, if I got this right, plus fundraising efforts. What's the common thread between leaders who truly connect with their audience versus those who just deliver information?
Leaders who are connected with themselves are able to connect with their audience. It's not just a matter of being the messenger. It's a matter of being the person who, like, I feel and embody a sense of presence. I know who I am. I'm not trying to hide some part of myself from you.
So that's interesting. So dig deeper into that. The leaders who can be themselves, because we hear this a lot about be authentic, be real. The brain goes, so what? I'm confused. But turn it into a picture, because that's such a big point, a really important point about showing up and like you said, not hiding a part of yourself. So give me an example of somebody you might have worked with.
A lot of people are in a managerial role where they have to send a message that they don't want to. The uppers are saying, you got to say this to the lowers. And what's happening is they're caught in this, like, well, what persona do I bring? The authoritarian, like, I'm the boss, so you have to do this? Like, oh, I'm gonna, like, okay, that's not authentic. Are they gonna go completely soft and be like, look, I don't want to do this either. I don't know why we have to do this. This is so, and then water down their own credibility, finding that place. And so the leader who knows themselves, who knows their own, who knows their values, who has a personal mission statement, knows how to take that message and authentically deliver it without going to the extremes and being seen as incongruent and untrustworthy.
See, that is wonderful stuff. Everybody, teaching moment here. Come back and listen to this. The word incongruent is a big deal. It's part of my story, and I want to share it just quickly so we can connect, and you can coach me back on it with anything. That I grew up, and my dad was in the military, so he's commanding officer. So command and control. He left home when I was 12, though, because he was pretty bad drunk, and just my mom and him broke up. But I was raised as in the military. So do as I say, not as I do, command and control, tough. And yet my natural personality, as you see me now, this is who I really am. The way I'm talking to you is if I'm having a coffee in a coffee shop. That's how I like to treat people. When I was a CEO, I wore this mask or persona of command and control, kind of tough, not who I really was. And what was interesting is in the first part of my career, as I climbed to the CEO level, I became a CEO at age 30 or 31, around there. And I didn't even know what it was. But I had a coach back then, and I had some tough feedback because I was trying to lead as what my father was. In other words, I was winning awards, the company is growing. I was saying, here's our vision, our agenda, this is what we got to do. But man, the empathic stuff, the who I'm doing now for you, I care about you, I'm listening to you, that just wasn't there. So last thing I want to add, because this is really where I wanted to go with this, so I'm rambling, is comment on this. It's one thing for me to change, and I've changed. I've totally, over 25 years, transformed myself to be able to lead with my authentic person. There are organizations, though, that have structural constraints where in order to be a leader, the culture is you have to wear that mask. You got to be tough. You got to be this. People can't make mistakes, etc. So I'm working in that environment. I'm not in control of that environment. I've transformed, and I'm bringing my real self. Do you think I can thrive in that environment and get the most out of myself, or does it have to be shift as well?
Yeah, I think you can thrive. Yes, I appreciate the share. I don't call it rambling. I like iterations. We're explaining. I like it. Yes, you can 100% thrive in any environment. It depends on your mindset. I would offer, Harvard Business Review did an article a while ago about 7 leadership types.
That was in Harvard?
Yeah, Harvard Business Review did this 7 leadership types. It's good to understand the different types.
Yeah.
Understand what is your go-to response? What is the one you fear or don't know how to? A good leader that goes up the ranks knows how to adjust to all 7 types depending on the context of the situation. And if I'm going in there as a pace setter, like, you're going to do it this way because I did it this way, and this is how everybody's doing, and like, it's going to drive a successful business, Steve Jobs, but you might also wreck a few lives and your own health along the path. So like, you want to be able to switch
Yeah.
between leadership styles, but if you're not aware of them or not sure which leadership you lean into unconsciously in certain
Yeah.
contexts,
Yeah.
it's not going to be helpful.
And this is where the beauty of your book and the framework, because I'm a deep visual guy, but I can see your framework in my head, and I believe I can learn it. And as I'm having conversations, I can consciously map to it. So this is really helpful. Let's move into macro. The macro is sort of the global view around the context of everything you've done. So we're talking about the world here. I was going to go back to right when you were a child. Like some people grew up when the parents grew up in the Depression. When they grew up, maybe they were experiencing the World War, or like maybe today's generations who grew up during a COVID time. All these things can affect how we think in our work, right? So I call this I'll call this the outsider advantage. So in a world, Salvatore, in a world that often rewards conformity, how do leaders who've never quite fit in turn that experience into their superpower rather than their limitation?
My sense is a lot of them already have an understanding of how this is a superpower, and that is that by being an outsider, there's already an innate sense of compassion for the other outsiders, able to tell when there's somebody in the room that doesn't feel quite right, able to tell when somebody got feedback that didn't quite land right. So there's an innate sense of people who are in the targeted classes that have learned how to spot it and move past it. So I would say that ability becomes a superpower for them.
Interesting. And what about post-COVID now? But some companies have this virtual work thing. I know it's hard to be a virtual leader, but can your framework be taught when you're in a virtual leadership environment?
Yeah, it is important to master virtual. It's not going away. So we need to learn how to not only manage our own sense of presence on it, but how to interact, create engagement, how to use the platform and the tools to create the collaboration that a lot of us innately think is gone. And I think that's number one. Anybody out there that says, oh, virtuals can't replace in person, like, you are limiting yourself.
Sure.
The question isn't like, is it going to replace it? The question is, what can we do virtually that we can't do in person? Let's lean into that. Lean into what's possible. Make the most of it. Find ways to work with it in new ways. That's going to make you a leader of tomorrow.
I'm really fascinated on this topic. We might have you back again in the future to talk about virtual because, again, more transparency from me. That's what the show is, storytelling, authentic storytelling. That most people who know me and know my platform think I'm extroverted, but like many who you've met, many of us who consider we're somewhat introverted, my happy place is a glass of wine, sitting watching a movie at home, not rubbernecking around a table. And as a traveling executive for many years, that's all I did. It was work. It was exhausting. What I'm finding with virtual, and I started experiencing this early in the podcasting business, which now is gone on to 7 years. So like, I'm over it, man. You can probably get that. But dude, if I'm sitting in a room I'll tell the story and then you can riff on it. I'm sitting in a room, forget about podcasting, no COVID, with 8 people. I'm a bit introverted. I can hide in that room. The person talking to the group, they're not staring at me into my eyes. I'm not like, I have other things I can be doing to distract. I can say not be noticed. This is different. All of a sudden, when I started podcasting, these are the things that started happening. I started looking at myself and what I see on the screen. I've never liked my appearance, mostly because of the PTSD stuff I experienced as a kid, for how I looked being picked on. I've dealt with that and I still am, but I don't like how I look. What comes back is different. Okay. That's first thing. Number two, you're like right there and I can't break myself away from you. So it's like, I'm trying to not be rude. And it's like, if I look away. So I think, what's important to me is just to share that with you, that leaders now who have had to make the shift to virtual leadership, the training and the framework you're teaching is very important, is to get a new set of skills, because you can't just, in my opinion, you can't just jump on Zoom and virtually lead people. I mean, holy smokes, I'm on my soapbox here, but I know a guy is 6'4" who's a leader of others. can you, and him on a Zoom, he's so damn intimidating. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there. Just, anything you want to say before I move to the next theme?
Just double clicking on all that you said. There is a lot of value to learning how to use the tool. And to your point, there's ways to step in closer. There's ways to step out. There's ways to give the sense of giving space and looking into the camera rather than the screen to create that sense of intimacy. But to your point, as an introvert myself, I had to do the research and understand, why do I get so fatigued from virtual? Turn off self-view if it's just a one-on-one. If it's multi, hide yourself down. You want to make sure that your hands aren't going outside the box, because that looks a little weird. But if it's one-on-one, turn yourself off, because it's too much. You got too much feedback.
Exactly.
And there is an unnatural, like, staring at each other kind of, like, nobody has a conversation like this, right? So bring in that natural sense. Look around. Make a habit of it, but don't do like a lot of leaders who think that they're just going to like look at their notes and then tell you, "Well, it's really nice to see you all today, and I'm really glad to get to this agenda." It's like, no, see us. You're not even looking at us.
No, I can't.
Come on, right? So,
exactly.
There's
very good.
Skills to learn here.
Very good tips, and that's why I love. And when I'm in the studio, I can do that, or I can do that, or I can do that. I can do that. I can do this, and what I'm doing there is, I have these little tricks where I can disconnect from you without the audience thinking I don't care about you, to have my little moment and recharge. Which
can I share one little piece of thing to go with that? There's the communication strategy around that same thing. Ask a question. Turn the spotlight to somebody else. It gives you, as an introvert, a chance to breathe.
I can breathe. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, and then jump back in. Yeah. Essential.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question. So here's the next.
Here we go.
And these are themes, the idea of themes that can lead to stories. So we'll call this the global conversation. You've worked with leaders across cultures and continents. Is the struggle to find authentic voice universal, or do different cultures handle the outsider experience differently?
It's very individual.
Yeah.
And I would say that I've seen the same habits, patterns, behaviors in different cultures.
Yeah.
They just kind of show up a little bit different. I would offer that one thing that is universal is the imposter syndrome, that we all have some belief that is preventing us from being fully ourselves and open when we're in the spotlight. And it's worth diving into and unpacking. What is that belief? What is the thing that you don't want to look at or don't want them to see? Make peace with it, become friends with it, and learn how to use it as an advocate for what you do want to say. You'll overcome that imposter syndrome and move forward.
See, this is another fascinating topic. We could deep dive on it, but just to riff on it, it's a big deal for not only people I've worked with, led, coached, and now me, but I think this has been a thread in my lifeline. And you hear a lot of leaders when you get into that cone of silence in a coaching environment, or just even you're sitting, and if there's trust, that will whisper to you things. And I'll just to say provocatively, they show up with blood on their shirt. They won't say what they really feel because of the public persona they have in business. But this thing about imposter syndrome, tell me what you think. After I had my concussion, I had to go through mental health therapy because I went into depression. I had a lot of challenges because life stopped for a while. I took CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a course anybody can find. If it's taught by a psychiatrist or a doctor, you have to get referred. But CBT is cognitive, so your cognition, B for behavior, how your thoughts behave. And then therapy is obviously practice. So you can, what I've learned is you can change the way your thoughts behave. Mm-hmm. So one of the exercises they taught us, and it leads to this topic, is something called thinking tracks, TRACK, like indelible tracks on a vinyl record that are there for good. And so they gave me a list in my book. I can dig it up and send it, of 10 common thinking tracks based on psychology. And the top few are, I'm not good enough. I don't look good enough. I'll never amount to anything. And so what was interesting to me is I've never seen it framed that way, man. But all of a sudden I had a list of 10, and I literally worked on it in between sessions and found my top two. One is I don't look good enough. And, I won't tell you the other one. But that was big behind my imposter syndrome. It's not what other people thought, but it was these indelible tracks, which were deep in my amygdala and my hippocampus, the parts of the brain that store all that shit. And I never dealt with it. So giving it back to you on imposter syndrome, what's one strategy in your framework do you think you would coach somebody to start working through that?
First of all, accept that it's natural. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has it. Number one,
Yeah.
like, don't beat yourself up for having it, right? Number
Exactly.
two, like, there's a book called Taming Your Gremlins. That's where I got this idea. It's not my idea, but you name that belief, you give it a personality, you name it. My number one is perfectionist. Like, if I'm not perfect, people aren't going to love me. I'm not lovable unless I'm perfect. And I don't know where that I can tell you. But anyway, I've named him Perry. And I've learned to talk to Perry. And I have Perry wait over there. I'm like, Perry, you need to wait over there while I'm performing, where I'm engaging. And then afterwards, I'll ask Perry, what did you see? What did you notice? And we'll negotiate, like, what he saw. Because he's trying to protect me, right? But like, naming the belief. And to your point, like, the reticular activating system in the brain is all about like focusing on whatever it is that we train it to. And
it's like
the RAS can be programmed with those beliefs, like tracks, like you said, so that we become this self-fulfilling cycle of seeing evidence of what we said. So our brain is already looking for evidence of that person doesn't love you because you didn't say that perfectly.
Yeah.
And so it can quickly send a person who's trying to present their well-documented, well-researced, rehearsed points into a spiral on the stage, and it's not helpful for anybody.
Yeah. Wow. So the teaching moments, come back, watch this segment. So imposter syndrome and these thinking tracks, I call it, and what you just said there adds to validating that one of the things.
Can I offer one thing, and that is the antidote?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you.
Train the reticular activating system, your RAS, with new tracks.
Perfect.
Before you get into those situations, don't let the autopilot take over.
Yeah.
Program it. How am I going to succeed today? How do I know that I'm ready? Why is my voice worth hearing? Why is what I have to share meaningful?
Yeah, absolutely.
What am I going to learn today? Like, train your reticular activating system to look for that. You're going to nail it.
That's let's see if I can find it. Where is it here? I don't think I have one. That's the wrong sound effect. Boy, so much there we could riff on for a long time, but I want to just keep moving forward and get to the review I want to reveal. But I want to share this about that my antidote for that one issue, by the way, my second track was perfectionism. So you nailed it. It's just the nature, because I'm a detail person, but the expectations were put on me. And I learned that perfectionists, when they lead people, this is what I know from just coaching and learning. And I was kind of one, if you set a goal for somebody here, they understand it's there, but through a perfectionist's eyes, it might be here. So some of leaders burn out their teams because they can never see the team achieving the goal. And so that's this awareness thing. The thing about I'm not good enough, the way my antidote to that is exactly that. So when I said to you about we have the power to change the way our thoughts behave, it actually is what is true through cognitive behavioral skill. I learned a skill that I can step back and go, hey brain, I notice you're thinking that Salvatore's looking at you like you're not good enough. Thank you for that. You can go away now, because I know I'm good at, you know what? I just did a killer interview that got high ratings. Or I notice you're telling me I'm stupid, but guess what? I just finished a doctorate degree. How many people have done that? Blah, blah, blah. So shifting and putting that, and what it is for me is my brain goes so fast. I don't stop to evaluate a thought and have a thought about it. It goes and it comes and it goes. So when I slow down and evaluate it, and then I say, wait a minute, there's all these other things that contradict that. It's powerful. Let's do something to honor you now, so you can relax and breathe, because you've been doing such hard work. Would you like to hear your first international book review?
I would love that. Yes.
It is a real thing. And
wow.
Normally I would have it on Amazon. It's approved. I could show it to you, but this is a promise from me to you that this will be up as soon as the book's live. So I want you to sit back and enjoy it. We'll set it up with a little thing here. It's a bit to read, and then I'll send you it. Okay. So stand by, everybody. What would it be like to hear the first international pre-publishing review for Salvatore's book, Clear and Compelling Communication Strategies for Big Thinkers and Bold Ideas? Well, here it is. This will be posted as an Amazon 5-star review by me, Tom Dutta. The title of the review is For Everyone Who's Ever Felt Like an Outsider but Has Something Important to Say. I've interviewed hundreds of leaders on the Quiet Warrior Show, and there's a pattern I see repeatedly. The most authentic voices often belong to people who've never quite fit in. Salvatore Manzi's Clear and Compelling speaks directly to that experience. This isn't another generic business communication book. It's a roadmap for turning your outsider experience into your leadership superpower. Manzi knows what it's like to not fit in. Growing up gay in conservative Kansas, choosing nomadic life 3 times, coaching everyone from UN presenters to unicorn building CEOs, his journey proves that our greatest struggles become our greatest strengths. The book's genius lies in the framework approach. 5 practical communication structures that work like a GPS for conversations, guiding you from feeling invisible to being influential while requiring you to become someone else. The you, then me principle alone transformed how I approach difficult conversations. Instead of leading with my agenda, I now begin by acknowledging the other person, perspective. And the response difference is remarkable. What sets us apart in Manzi's understanding that communication mastery isn't about fitting in. It's about belonging. It's about belonging authentically. He teaches you to embrace awkwardness as growth, seek meaningful feedback over empty praise, and start every interaction by truly listening. The 3-pillar framework, content, delivery, presence, creates a comprehensive system addressing not just what you say, but how you say it and the authentic energy you bring. So for anyone who's felt like an outsider, this book is liberation. You don't need to become someone else to be heard. You need to become more skillfully yourself. Each chapter includes reflection, questions, and practice exercises that turn theory into transformation. The writing is clear. Excuse me, I just lost my place with my eyes here. My vision jumps on me. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become more skillfully yourself. Each chapter includes reflection questions and practice exercises that turn theory into transformation. The writing's clear, engaging, refreshing, honest, about challenges of authentic leadership. And finally, if you've ever felt like you don't quite fit in but know you have something important to contribute, if you're tired of watching others get credit for your ideas, if you want to move from hiding to leading, this book will change how you show up in the world. Get it, read it, then watch how differently people respond when you communicate with both clarity and authenticity. And it's perfect for anyone who's felt like an outsider, introverted leaders, executives seeking authentic presence, people ready to turn their struggles into their strengths. Congratulations. You can shed a tear. That's okay.
That was so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You deserve all that praise. It is a tremendous piece of work. Is this your first book?
Yeah.
So I can
First
say that
book.
no pun, but coming out of the closet for me as my first book as author, it's scary. We don't know what people think, but I believe it's going to be a bestseller for you. So well done. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Now that you've breathed and you don't get to get off the hook easily, we're going to move to wrapping up here. And then I'm going to honor you with a quick award. I call this the last question, and we've been doing it for a while. It's funny because you just written a book. It's called The Unwritten Chapter. What's next? So I'm going to pick, it's called The Next Adventure. After helping thousands find their voice and sharing your frameworks in clear and compelling, what's the next chapter of your own voice journey?
I want to lean into using artificial intelligence as an assistant in communications to see how it can augment, support. Right now, it's just a brainstorming tool for me. I think it could be so much more. So I think that would be where I'm going to be leaning after this.
I'm chuckling. I love that. I'll give you a little applause. Thank you. What a great vision. And why I chuckled is I embrace AI and I'm using it a lot. And on my last show, I had asked AI, and I put it on the screen. I said, "What AI? Tell me what you know about this person." And I put the guest name in. came up with all this stuff. And then I asked AI, because I believe you challenge AI. It's an aggregator, but it's your buddy. So I said, what if I told the guests that their bio sucks? And the response was remarkable. And then I said, and I do this a lot with my writing. Like I wrote your review and I put it into AI and I said, I want you to do me this. Tell me why it sucks. And tell me if a 7-year-old could understand it. And tell me if it's pontificating or sounds unauthentic. And it'll just tear it apart. And then back and forth. So I'll finish with this, that if you don't spend 10 minutes with AI developing your own knowledge, you're out of the game. So let's move to honoring you with an award. Did you know you're getting an award today?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, next time I ask you that, you're going to go, yeah, I did, Tom. You told me. So we're gonna put a different view of my camera on the screen because I didn't bring one with me, but I'm going to talk to it. Okay, you see on the back screen there, all right, where it shows. Let me just see if I can find a picture I can put up instead. I don't know if I have this. Just hold on. I might be able to find that. Where are we? Okay, that's all right. So I'm just going to... Okay, so 3, 2, 1. So today we're awarding you a challenge coin. Do you know what a challenge coin is?
I've heard you speak about this, yes.
Okay, so for the sake of the audience, I'll be brief. It comes in a package with a little sleeve that explains that they were developed in World War I. Soldiers would carry them in their pockets to commit to each other. They were some type of a commitment, and they had fun with it. If you didn't bring your coin, you bought drinks at the officers' mess. This still goes on today. Coins are used around the world. Every organization that is a purpose tends to have a coin. First responders, for example. AA, where my father spent 22 years before he passed away, Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I wanted to create an award for the 1% of people that come to my show. As you know, I vet hard. I have a demand 3 months out to get on the show. Not everybody makes it unless they can show me how they took some pain in their life, a deep story, transformed it through a hero's type journey to making an impact. And you, sir, have done that. So the front of the coin, the challenge coin, they're minted and made in the United States. They're hand painted and crafted. The front is on the screen there of my TV. It's the image of the show, the Quiet Warrior Show. The back is the beautifully illustrated hero's journey narrative by Joseph Campbell's work. It's the map of the journey that you've taken and all of us take in life to become teachers to the world. So on that note, I want to welcome you to an exclusive community, the Quiet Warriors. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So the coin will come to you. I got to get your address offline. And I ask for just one commitment. You continue to do what you do to make an impact. You stay connected for life, and we'll support each other. And when you get the coin, take a picture somewhere meaningful to you that fits the narrative of the story. And
yes.
On the iPhone. Yeah, and then send it to me because I'm creating this wall for my own use. And I've got many of those pictures. So on that note, I'm going to give it to you for the last word. Tell us something about when the book comes out, where to get it, and any last words for the audience.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Tom. It's been an honor to be here. And for anybody out there that any of this resonated, I'd love to connect with you. You can go to clearandcompellingplaybook.com. You can find out more about the book. It will be available on Amazon probably in about a month in September 2025.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, live life and live the life that you deserve and desire, like you're here from Salvatore, and live with that purpose. Salvatore, it's been awesome. We'll have you back anytime. And everyone, we'll see you again next week on the Quiet Warrior Show. Subscribe. And my name's Tom Dutta. You have a good one. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Quiet Warrior Show. Create is a motive-based leadership development firm. www.kreat.ca.
Okay, stand by. We got that on camera. We're still live, so we're still live.
Oh,
So
really?
hopefully somebody saw that. I'm going to take us offline, so stand by because we're still streaming across 5